Welcome to Coffee Time Thursday. Today's hosts are Kathy Richmond, Nancy Cicluzzo, Linda Burdett, and Becky Rokel. Today's conversation is from the book Spiritual Economics by Eric Butterworth. Let's get started.
Good afternoon, ladies. It's so wonderful to see your smiling faces. How are we enjoying our coffee time?
Good. Excellent.
Well, great. Let's open with prayer. Divine Spirit, thank you for our time together, for this wonderful gathering of gals that are here to share what's going on in our lives, what we're thinking, and what we want to share with the world. We are so blessed and we are so grateful, and so it is. Amen.
Amen.
I want to tell you that I've been studying up and rereading this book that we're doing for the book study, The Spiritual Economics. I read this book probably a dozen years ago for a certified spiritual educator's certification class with Reverend Sharon. And I thought, what's economics got to do with spiritual? And it's like, I didn't understand, but I took the class and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And so I really recommend it. Anyway, I was reading the chapter on tithing, and I thought that I might share it with you because tithing is not a subject that we talk about much. And other than, to talk about the need for it. And in reviewing the book, I remembered that I had read that tithing is not a subject in itself. It's a means or a spiritual method to keep us in the flow of God's good. It's a spiritual practice. It's not a thing that we strive for in itself, but a means to an end in itself. And so I thought, well, I wonder that's what Eric Butterworth would say. Wonder what the original idea to tithing was. And I went back, and in ancient times, there was a priestly caste that needed to be supported. And so they created tithes, and they said it needs to be 10% of your wealth or your income. They didn't use the word income in those days, but of your wealth. And then you can be part of our church service. And I realized in more modern times that there are faith traditions that say that in order to be a member of our organization, you need to do this, this, and this, and it requires tithing. And I just wonder how that's working for people who are, so many of them are out of work. And does that mean that they're, bereft of their spiritual guidance at this time? That sounds like a terrible thing. So I just thought, I wonder what your experience is with it. I've always felt that tithing is what I do to share willingly and freely with where my spirit is fed. How about you? Becky, have you got any thoughts?
Yeah. I think it's interesting that you were saying about some religions say, you have to do A, B, C, D. I was born and baptized in a different religion. It is a Christian-based religion, but it is very much, you give 10%. You give 10%. I remember, and I have family members that are still in it, that even their unemployment checks, they give 10%. That is what you do. It's more of a, when you're a part of us, this is who you are. And right now that's pretty tough. I mean, somebody giving 10% of an unemployment check, and they can't even pay their rent. But personally, for me, I'm good with tithing. I tithe in more than one way. It's not just monetarily, giving and being of service to people. It's more than just, the dollars. I don't make very much money. Work part-time, part-time, you know. So, but I'm happy to give 10% of what I earn, you know, and then if my husband wants to give 10% of what he earns, that's another subject, you know. So I like being able to me, it's a, like you said, Nancy, it's feeding where I'm fed. Now I'm the Youth and Family Ministerial Director. I also talked to Pastor Robert this, you know, recently, and I told him that our children right now are being fed spiritually by other churches because they're doing online stuff. So I said, is there a way that we can also be of service to them, tie it to them in some way? Because it's important that they know that we're not just, you know, sending our kids over to them. They have a program going. They have a lot of support in it. So our children are being fed there. So it's good to share some of that tithe and that service and be of help to them as well. So I'm, you know, I'm good with it. I just feel like sometimes that some people feel like they, you know, you do very stern with it, but because I grew up in a religion like that, I'm glad I'm not in that religion like that now. So thanks.
I'll go next. I, like you know, grew up that 10% you got to tithe, and you just got to do it even from your unemployment. But I've evolved over time, and I learned too that you give where you're spiritually fed. And oh, I just so love being spiritually fed at Unity of El Cajon. And I would give of my time and my treasure at that church, and blessed to still get to film with you. But now it's evolved since I live in Mexico, because I have loved working with updating the website here for this church and filming meditations. And I pay for the filming of the meditations. It's my tithe to the church. And I do tithe to the church also at the Sunday services, but I also tithe to my community. There are needy people here that need food, and I may give to 2 or 3 different people in a day, or I tithe to a restaurant where I really love the people that serve me. I mean, we talk like family. Here in Mexico, family's number 1, parties are number 2, and work's number 3. So you really want to get to know the people. And so I tip largely to that restaurant. I want to keep them in business. And here, anywhere you go, you can get your car washed for very little. So I tithe by doubling that to them. So, and it makes me feel good because I'm receiving as I give, because I receive the love from these people. And it makes me feel good when I have a washed car and that I've been able to give more than enough to that gentleman. So it's evolved, and it may continue to evolve, but that's how it is for now. Thank you.
I first heard about tithing. I was trying to get custody of my youngest child back, and they had all kinds of hoops for me to walk through. I had to have a job. I got a part-time minimum wage job, and the sober living that I was living in was trying to help. They broke all kinds of rules, let me have overnights with my son, because that was a part of my reunification program. There was so much help in so many different directions, but it came down to the fact that I'm the sole income supporting myself and this toddler, and I'm working a part-time minimum wage job with fresh off the streets, fresh, out of jail, off the streets, not a lot of references, and the social worker on my case, I'm gonna tear up. And I don't know if any of you have had a social worker, but they're widely known as the bad guys. They don't have any time. They don't care about you. They just want this, this, and this. Her name was Mary, and she bought me a stroller big enough to carry my toddler and put laundry or groceries on, because everything I did, I had to bring this kid, including meetings. And I asked her, I can't pay you back. What are you doing this for? And she told me it's part of my Christian tithe. Well, I'd never even heard that. I didn't know anything about that, but I certainly learned. I was involved in a Unity church, Unity of San Diego at the time, and learned everything I could about tithing. I took a class called the 4 T's, and I started tithing then, and I have tithed. There was a break, but I have tithed since then, and I swear to God, I couldn't make it if I wasn't tithing. I give 10% off at the top from the net amount, the one before they take taxes. And my husband and I are banking together now, long story, but we weren't for years and years. And because we're banking together, I'm tithing off of his income too, which I'd never done before. But I tithe 10% to where I'm spiritually fed, which right now is Unity El Cajon. I also try and tithe 10% of my time. So I am so happy to do all the things that I'm doing at church, but I'm not tithing for the church. It's totally selfish. When I start by giving that 10%, I have enough for everything else that needs to be done. It's a spiritual law. I have plenty. I am on unemployment. And I tell you what, as soon as I get paid, 10% goes to the church. Otherwise, how could I pay my rent? How could I pay my bills? I tithe because it keeps me open and receiving spiritually. And I think it's a shame we don't talk more about this. I am so excited to be doing spiritual economics. I've got the book here too, coming up in February. So many people need to hear the news that money isn't what you think it is, and it's a spiritual property, and it's a spiritual principle. And if you want more, give more. In 12-step meetings, we say you keep what you have by giving it away, and that works with spiritual concepts. If you want love, give love. If you want hope, give hope. If you want pissy crying attitude, give that up and you'll get it right back. And the same thing with money. If you want money, give, and it comes back to you over and over again in so many ways. So I'm excited about this class. I'm excited about this topic. Kind of embarrassed I cried, but I haven't learned to tell that story without crying. I would invite you all here and our audience, just take a moment and let this thought, this idea sink in. I invite you to get comfortable and to hear my words. As we become aware of our breathing, we know that we breathe in and we breathe out. We know this is a natural cycle. We know that if we try and breathe in and never breathe out, we're blocking ourselves, we're hurting ourselves. In this knowing, I invite you to visualize your financial situation, your health, anything on your mind that you would see blessed and broadened Let's breathe that in and breathe that out, knowing that the natural flow of life is in and out, knowing that as we breathe out, as we release, let go, and share, we make room for more to come in, to come through, and to be with us. As simple as that. As you are aware of this natural cycle of God in all things, I invite you to return your attention here and now. And as you open your eyes and stretch, be aware that you are natural. You are meant to be, and you are a part of this cycle of giving and receiving. Thank you. Amen.
Thank you, Linda.
So let's invite everyone to like our videos and share, and be sure and sign up for the book study coming up the second week of February on Eric Butterworth's Spiritual Economics. I hope to see you there.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week. If you want to be a part of the conversation, comment below, like, and share with your Coffee Time friends.